Welcome back to Shift Happens. I'm Colin.
I'm Tim.
I'm Angelo.
Fish. No, you say it right. It's fish.
I'm Fish.
Fish. And today we're actually going to talk about the history of the Mustang.
Yes.
So, Mustang owner, Mustang lover.
Previous Mustang owner.
Ford guy.
Yeah, it's sad.
Yeah.
Or what's sad?
But
he doesn't have his Mustang anymore.
Oh, yeah. That does suck.
Life happens. Shift happens, you know.
For context, I'm going to put the picture of the Mustang you had somewhere around here.
Yeah. She was a beauty.
That was a nice car.
The new owner is taking good care of her.
That's good to hear.
Getting fresh coat of paint on it.
What? A Fox body actually being taken care of? Who would have thought?
People actually like those cars, Colin.
I know, but I'm just so used to seeing them beat more than a truck, beat more than a lot lizard, ending up in drag races or drift events.
Yeah.
There's a reason people drag race with them, though.
Once again, great platform. Great cars in general. Doesn't matter what generation except for the Mustang 2s, but we're going to elaborate on all that today. And a little background information on the Mustang. So in the late 50s, early 60s, Ford was struggling with car sales for now the baby boomers that are at the age to drive. All their cars were very boring, adult, corporate. They didn't have anything that was exciting this new generation that's going onto the road.
Oh, I mean, they did have the Edsel, but never.
That wasn't even considered a Ford then.
Hold on, one caveat here. For everyone who thinks that push-button transmissions are a new thing, they were invented with the Ford Edsel. But continue, I'm sorry.
But the Ford development team was looking into finding a new way to excite this new generation coming in with just a car that looked a simple way to put it, just something that was attractive to new buyers.
More sporty.
Sporty performance.
Yeah.
And Lee Iacocca, Leo Beebe, and a few other Ford executives went down and they started making designs, and in 1964, half of the way through that year, the Mustang was released to the public, as well as an introduction of Shelby.
What? Are you having a stroke? Cheryl Kelby? Cheryl Kelby!
Carroll Shelby. Alright, I'm muscle relaxers, okay? Calm down.
Yeah, you're on muscle relaxers. You ain't on dumb pills, buddy.
I am dumb! Why do you think I fix cars for a living?
I can't wait to edit this and see how loud it actually is.
But Carroll Shelby was introduced, as well as Mustang's debut. They announced that Ford was getting into the 24 Hours of Le Mans and more in-depth into racing, but they did not tell what car they were using yet.
Oh, and you bring up my little point in history where one of the most famous race car drivers in the world at the time just called a Mustang, I believe he said, a heaping pile of garbage meant to subdue the materialism of the common people.
Ken Miles. He called it a secretary's car.
Oh, man.
Ken Miles is a legend. Favorite.
Yeah.
The only dude in history to absolutely just destroy somebody's dreams with one quote.
Yep.
But hey, you want to take us off into the second generation?
Well, we didn't even talk about the first generation.
I mean,
I just spoke the background of it.
When it first came out, and especially the Lee Iacocca.
Iacocca.
What is it with you two and pronouncing?
I'm bad at pronouncing stuff too. When it was introduced in 1964, it became an instant success.
Or started
huge
flying.
success.
And the beginning years, they had two options for a straight six and actually two options for a V8. So you had, I believe, 144 cubic inch and 200 cubic inch straight six. And you had a 260 V8 and the well-known 289 first year.
Yep.
Then as the years went by, I believe going into 67, it was just a straight six and the 289. And 1968, when they had the Fastback GT 2+2 seating, a car that was made famous by Steve McQueen, the Ford 390 GT, which had a 390 cubic inch FE block, big block V8. That was the first performance Mustang next to the Shelby GT 350, which I believe was a different intake on the 289, making 350 horsepower.
What about the Cobra Jet?
The Cobra Jet, that was brought out, I believe, 68 or 69 with the Mach 1. And that was a 429 motor, which was also used in the Boss 429, as well as the 302 Windsor, which was in the Boss 302.
Listen, y'all have your Mustang things. My Mustang thing is the GT 500 KR and the extremely rare GT 350 Hertz. Oh, those cars are absolutely gorgeous.
The Hertz is just, with the Renault company slapping their name on the side of it.
Yeah, so?
Black and gold. It's a good color combo. I'm not going to argue that with you, but...
Yeah, but other than that, there was really nothing special about it.
After 1970, when they went to 71, they boxed up the front ends, got rid of the 289 for the 302, but they started introducing the 351 Cleveland motor. Different plant, obviously, than the Windsors, as well as big blocks of the time. The Cleveland motors are a very unique aspect of Ford that people often think, it's the same thing as the Windsors. It's different. But as the later years of the first generation were coming to an end, there was obviously Jimmy Carter years, the oil embargo was knocking at the door.
Yep.
That brought us to the Mustang 2.
Well, the Mustang 1, the Mustang, you could get it in the the hardtop or the convertible. Convertible is kind of ugly. Coupe. A little ugly, in my opinion.
Two-door coupe.
You're a little ugly, but we keep you around.
Convertible and the fastback.
But getting on to the second generation Mustang.
The Dark Ages.
Oof. Kind of embarrassing, if we're being honest.
Dude, it's really
pretty embarrassing.
It was just the answer to a year, couple presidential terms, to be honest of where they started enacting emissions, fuel economy standards, and all that.
And then the fact that it was based on the Ford Pinto platform. I mean, that speaks volumes. It
made the car lighter in that aspect. But you didn't have a V8 until the later years where they brought out the Cobra 2, which is the first Mustang to be advertised with the Cobra name, and the Mustang King Cobra, where they snuck the 302 back in them. Because I believe it was only the 2.3 Lima, non-turbocharged, that was carbureted, and I believe they brought some sort of V6 out within those years. But the Mustang 2, I'll give it credit for one thing. It made that car a lot lighter than the first generation. That brings us into the third generation.
And the Mustang 2 still sold well, shockingly enough.
Oh, before you enter the return of the king, I guess we'll call it, considering I'm looking at this like it's a horrible timeline example of Lord of the Rings, I cannot tell you how many memes I've seen of Mustang 2s being in like trailer parks or parking lots after like a hurricane, and the car's perfectly fine, and the caption's always, "It's so ugly, God doesn't even want it."
Even diehard Mustang collectors, they don't sweat over a Mustang 2. If you see one in good shape, it's cool to see, you know, oh, there's a car that everybody forgot about.
Still an instant motor swap. Drivetrain swap.
Yeah.
If I had one.
I mean...
Honestly, I could care less for them. They're butt ugly.
If I had... I'm just saying if I had one personally.
But once again, it's set up to the next generation by cutting all that weight.
Return of the King.
Bring it back to the third generation, which is known as the Fox body. Now, in 79 to 85, it was the 4i. It had 4 sealed beams, except for the SVO. The SVO was, I believe, 84 to 86. It had a turbo 2.3 Lima. And that car was ahead of its time in the aspect of they turbocharged a 4-cylinder, and they were able to make it outperform a V8.
I love it.
The American market was not ready for that in the 80s.
So
there was so much cool turbocharged back then,
wait,
man.
Hold on. Wasn't the inline 4 a Jaguar engine?
Nope. That was a Ford engine.
That was a Ford engine? Because I could have sworn they shared it
You're
with something.
thinking of the late 90s, early 2000s Thunderbirds, which was a Jag.
Thank you.
And that is not what we're talking about.
Okay, well, fine. Just crap all over me, all right?
Okay, Mr. Chevy guy.
Look around the room. There is not just Chevy everywhere. I got Audi, I got McLaren, I've got Aston Martin.
Yeah, back to what we're talking about.
So mean.
The first 2 years, though, of that generation didn't have the 302 yet. It was, I believe, maybe just an option, and then as years went on, it was the 2.3. They had a 3.8 V6 in their early years, and then as they looped later in, it was the 2.3 and 5.0, the 302.
Yep.
Now, 1985 and 86, that half year, was the introduction of fuel injection on the 302. And then in 87, they did the rework, which made the Mustang look a lot more attractive, in my opinion. But the 4i I will never hate. I love all Fox bodies equally.
Even the cops.
Yeah, those were cool, the SSPs.
Oh, God, I would like to have one of those.
And a big thing was what everybody liked about them. Once they had the V8 back in it, the car was still light enough that performed very well. And the downfall of it was the torque of the 302 was twisting the bodies of the car.
Hence why you see it every time they go down a drag strip, they're leaning like this, like they're about to take off from a runway.
Those cars twist, and, you know, as people were starting to modify them, put more power to them, the hatchbacks had this issue where if you made just enough power, you launched it hard enough, that rear hatch would shoot right up.
Wait. The rear hatch would...
Yeah, it would unlatch.
So you're telling me those cars had active aero?
Yes. But as the years kept going, they were getting a little bit more power. They actually had a shootout with GM where their Mustang GT went up against the GNX. And during the testing and all that, the trials, the GNXs were having issues with their turbos, and therefore the Mustang took the trophy.
That's like the one time I would take a GM product over a Ford product.
And then, as the years came on...
I love me a GNX, dude.
Years kept going...
Why are you surprised? That's one of my dream cars. I'm not biased towards one brand like you are. Let's make that very clear.
Out of all the cars,
yes,
you choose a GNX.
Absolutely, 110%. Yes. In a C601.
The Blue Devil.
Okay. Yeah.
In a Pontiac G8. In a Chevy SS.
Thank you for mentioning.
I could keep going.
Yeah.
Could keep going.
That is going to be probably a future video. It's Blue Devil.
Corvette.
Okay.
But yeah.
Yeah, keep going though. When they reworked it, the Mustang's popularity after that refresh of the body, the looks, really took off to sales. Then I believe it was 1990 was when they introduced the square steering wheel with the airbag, when airbags became, required for any automobile. Then 1993 rolled around, the last year of the Fox body, was the first year of the Mustang SVT Cobra R.
That was the SV? Oh,
Yes, that
love
was
all
the
the
first
SVTs,
SVT Cobra R, was 1993.
I love all of them.
I didn't realize they were that old. I thought they were newer. I thought that
Well,
was
when-
96, 97.
In 2023, if you don't remember, they had the 30-year anniversary of Special Vehicles team.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
That Mustang and the Lightning F-150 was the debut of the Ford Special Vehicles teams in the U.S.
Speaking of videos that need to be done, Ford Lightning is definitely one of them. But I'm going to take over from here. So
I'm going to add things in while you go.
Well, yeah, obviously. Yeah. This is not just a...
Yeah.
What are you
I'm going to step away for a second.
Trying to work on retention beats here. And this guy is just, being an active degenerate, making faces at us as we're trying to sit here and be responsible.
I'm going to let that go. I'm going to let that slide.
So now, after going through the SM95 generation, we work ourselves into the S197s.
We didn't even talk to S.
Oh, we didn't?
No.
I thought we just
finished the third
Fox
generation.
body, dude.
Yeah. Excuse me.
You want to talk shit about us?
SM95.
All right, you know what? I made fun.
You said this wrong. You're skipping a whole generation.
Okay, Jesus Christ! I made fun of you once, and I made fun of him once, and
now
you both
now
just
now we're gonna rip on you.
Stop tag teaming me like I'm Riley Reid.
You can't make me.
All right, getting back into it. Oh my God. The fourth generation, the SN95s. 1994 to 2004. Frankly,
It's an updated Fox body. So the same thing underneath, but 94, 95 were 302. 95 was the last year of using a pushrod motor in a Mustang.
Okay, since we're on the fourth generation, I do have a question to ask you because you're a lot more knowledgeable on the Mustangs than I am. Did the crowd surfing start with the Fox body, or did it start with the SM95?
SM95.
SM95.
Honestly, I'd say it'd be the generation after. That's 197. Because let's be honest, that was the modern Mustang too. But we'll elaborate on that as we get to it.
Yep.
But SM95 was just an updated Fox platform. That's all it was.
And it's one of the better looking Mustang models of all time.
And a little background with that. Lincoln, because obviously Ford owns Lincoln. Lincoln received the 4.6 2-valve and 4 valves for their cars as development. It was a trial period, and after 95, the 302 was dropped, and the 4.6 2-valve was put into the GT. And then the Cobra, the SVT Cobra's got the 4-valve 4.6 in 96. And 95 also had the SVT Cobra R with the 351 Windsor.
I'm sorry, I'm making fun of you because you're just like tisming out right now.
Well, yeah, this is my bread and butter.
Isn't it weird when somebody else does it and it's not you?
I don't find it weird. I find it entertaining because I love just seeing somebody else just like tunnel vision on one subject and just go all off on it.
Well, we're talking about a car that I've loved since I was like 4 years old.
I mean, I got a 1969 fastback right there sitting on my rack. Shelf. Rack. Whatever. It's a thing that hangs off the wall.
But still, there was a lot of interesting stuff going on within this generation that changed Ford forever.
100%.
And we keep going on through the years. We hit 1999. This is a big year with the SN95 when they changed the looks again. Same generation, just different fenders, headlights, taillights, everything.
Yeah, that little midway, late end, little mid refresh.
And this is where some ingenuity came out, and what gets a lot of people that claim to be Mustang fans upset. When we talk about independent rear suspension, it was introduced in 1999 in the Mustang Cobra cars.
I still love me a Terminator.
That's 0304.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
What?
0304 were the only Terminator cars with the factory 4.6 supercharged.
Oh, no, I thought you said something else.
But
oh, God,
2000 goes
He's getting ahead
another
of himself,
Cobra R.
But I agree. 100% agree. I love me a Terminator.
The next Cobra R was in the year 2000 that had the 5.4 dual overhead cam V8, completely stripped interior, no air conditioning, no radio, just steering wheel, seats, your pedals. That was it.
That just sounds like that's direct competition for the Camaro Z28 that year.
Yeah. The Cobra R was the track car.
Well, okay. Think about it for a moment.
know, he claims a lot of me bringing Ford into situations when we're not talking about Ford, yet any chance he gets, he's bringing up Chevy.
The Z28 is in competition
You're not wrong.
with the standard.
I'm not saying you're wrong.
No, it's just...
But you rip on me. And there's bits and pieces of videos that we've had to cut out that the audience hasn't seen.
Yeah.
But he rips on me for bringing Ford into things. So I'm going to rip on you, for bringing GM into it.
Bite me, but regardless, I was just trying to realize what was going on at the time. Like, he said it didn't come with air conditioning and radio. Well, the Camaro Z28, you could option it without air conditioning and a radio.
You would Camaro Z28.
No, I wouldn't, because that would make me want to live in a trailer and drink nothing but Mountain Dew and wear a stained wife beater. Oh, I can't say that. White tank top. And also have one ear pierced.
Why only one?
Can't afford the second. Keep that trailer.
Fish hit it right on the head.
And then Camaro's on cinder blocks. He gets in an argument with the wife.
Well, if they're at the trailer, they're doing something else there too. That's how they're affording everything.
Obviously, he storms out of the trailer, slams the door, hops in the car, fires it, not really realizing.
I'm thinking of a show called Breaking Bad.
Then he just sits there and redlines it.
Involves that substance.
Open header 305 red line until he calms down. Then he goes back to the trailer and passes out on the couch because all the fumes from the open headers got to his head.
Or the other things that were mentioned.
Hey, Carl, are you hitting on your wife again, or are you bouncing off that red limiter or that piece of crap?
Only the trailer part.
Oh, God.
Alright.
Oh, we're horrible people.
So are we good on the SN95?
Later, SN95, new Edge. Well, you had the new Edge, which is the later SN95s. Brought back the Mach 1 name. And everybody thought they were just Cobras, but the Mach 1s did not have the independent rear suspension. It was a solid axle.
They also had that really bomb-ass looking shaker hood, too, didn't they?
Yeah. And they brought back the Bullet GT.
Also,
which was just a green Mustang GT.
Essentially, yeah.
With a nicer interior.
Yeah.
I don't care. I still want to envision myself bombing down the streets of Los Angeles at 100 miles an hour, chasing after what? A 68 Charger?
Yeah.
I don't care what the... No, that car is gorgeous. I like it. That deep forest green is...
Bullet
Cream de
green.
resistance.
Okay, it is a nice color, but nothing will ever compare
to Mr. Chrome.
Mr. Chrome. And then...
That color, dude. Oh, my God,
if you screw that color up, that has to go to a Ford dealer, and somebody from Ford comes out to paint it with another guy from Ford to inspect it.
I believe it.
That paint cannot be redistributed. That is Ford only. Only a Ford dealer can correct it, repair it, paint it. And it must be inspected and approved by a very high up person by Ford before it leaves.
Money.
I have an idea. And I just kind of want to see what would happen if I were to do it. Well, we all know how Ferrari likes to react to people screwing with their cars. How do you think Ford would react if I put Mistachrome on my truck?
You can't get the paint.
You can't get the color.
You can't get it.
I mean, you could replicate it,
but it will never be proper.
Yeah, I understand that. I know it's...
They know people replicate it. They
not gonna lie, if your truck
wrap.
was a Mistachrome type color, I would call you.
Honestly, I'd with it.
On his truck, no, I'd call him.
I'm gonna let you guys take over for the next 2 generations.
No, that's all him. I don't know much about him.
You don't know much about the S1?
That's 197.
No, not really.
And this is arguably the ugliest Mustang.
What the hell do you mean, no?
Arguably the ugliest Mustang.
Mustang 2.
Well,
okay, the Mustang 2
of the
is
modern
ugly,
age.
but of modern, dude, the S197 is so ugly.
It just didn't look... The early years did not look good.
Ugly, slow.
The free valve was not good until you put a lot of money into it.
Well, yeah, they were terrible engines, don't get me wrong. Like, you can still get consistent power out of them.
Yeah. With a lot of money.
But
yeah, it was still the same 4.6. I mean,
they added an exhaust valve.
We've had friends that have pro-charged the 4.6 and still only making 400 something wheel.
But even
and
like
putting all that money into it, it's just,
dude,
that's a Shelby car.
It's a Shelby car. What do you expect? And that's a later year anyway. That's not like an 07.
It was 2005 to 14, dude.
Yes, the very first generation, the very first cars that came out of the S197 looked like shit and are ugly as f***.
The later year. That's
the later years look way better.
I know it's a later year. I agree
the
with
early S197s were not good looking cars.
They're ugly as hell, dude. They're ugly as hell.
They weren't the best looking. Great. The Shelby cars looked a lot better.
The later generation looked good, and then that's when you get into the S550.
Because halfway through the S197, I believe it was 2010, they brought the Coyote. The 5-liter, 4-valve per cylinder powerhouse that every Ford guy drools over.
Did the S197 get a Coyote or
yeah, the last 2 years.
The later, yeah.
Yeah, the best looking years of that generation.
Yeah, that's why I say though the very first cars that came out on that platform
were not very attractive.
Not good looking cars.
Yes, they weren't, but still, the later years, I really like the look of those cars.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
I never once said that I hated those cars. It's just I frankly think like growing up, I grew up in the time when those cars came out and started getting really popular.
I just never liked them.
I love the S197s.
Like I said, later
the Shelby cars and the later years with the Coyotes.
I had a bright red with black racing stripes and blue accents. I don't know who made the poster, but it was bright red, had black racing stripes down it, and had the blue accents on the outside of the black racing stripes. That was a poster I had on my wall for a good couple years. I love those cars. They're so good.
Then 07 brought out the first years of the GT500, which had a 5.4 supercharged, same engine that was in the GTs of that era. And also known... I don't believe the 5.4s were considered the Trinity, but the later years of the GT500 on the S197 platform went to the 5.8-liter Trinity V8. which was 5.8 liters, 4-valve per cylinders with a nice blower on it. Those were good performing cars. And now
we go into the S550.
S550.
My personal favorite.
Take it away, numbnuts.
I mean, Coyote. Coyote. It improved upon the look of the S197 in so many ways. You know,
and
like later on in the S197 years, the last 2 years, like you were saying, the looks just got better and better compared to what they were when they first came out.
Agreed.
And the price point dropped on those cars too, to where like Ford really made them affordable.
And the nice part with them too was they all came standard with independent rear suspension, so their handling became a lot better than the previous generations. You had not just a V6 and a V8, but the Eco one.
Well, that's what I was going to get into too. Is they started originally with the 3.7 V6, which was dog.
It was just meh. It's like every other V6 put into a muscle car.
It was the same V6 they were putting in the Taurus.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a dog.
It was just a dog, but it's there as the.
And then
I want the car, but I don't want the performance.
But then after I don't know how long it was. I don't know how long that V6 stayed in there, but after a couple years,
they kept it through the whole generation. It was always an option
for the S550.
Yep.
No, they didn't. They discontinued it. They discontinued the V6 option.
Oh yeah, and just had EcoBoost.
Just had the EcoBoost in GT.
I never knew that, but
so my buddy Dan had one. He had a 3.7, and again, dog slow. But eventually, the EcoBoost they got rid of it, and good riddance. And it makes sense because, you know, you're trying to, you know, like why would you have the V6 option, the EcoBoost option, and the 5.0 option all in one? You know what I mean? Especially when the EcoBoost is arguably better than the V6. For people that, you know, wanted the boost and whatnot. Obviously, there's a lot of people that don't want turbocharged 4 cylinders or turbocharged cars in general. But compared to the 3.7, the EcoBoost is no joke.
Conspiracy theory here. I personally, I want this to be my belief here is Ford got rid of the V6 because of everyone making fun of V6 Mustangs at car meets.
Yeah, but everybody would make fun of V6 Challengers, Chargers, and Camaros too, and then they still offered them for literally ever. Oh, and then Camaro copied the Mustang and put their 2-liter in their Camaro.
2-liter turbo in the Camaro?
Yeah, that is probably the worst. No, I refuse to believe that is a Camaro because it's not.
It's just like the V6. Why buy the V6? They usually just stupid.
Cheap.
It's because you're literally getting the
base
with nothing
absolute
scary.
Base model. But then the other thing is too is like with the Charger is you could get like a really nice package with it where it almost
the Dodge Charger GT
exactly where it almost looks like a Scat Pack. You can still get the hood with the vent and all that other BS that came with it, but still be a V6 and still charge an ass ton of money for a V6.
Yeah, those cars were specifically designed for women going through midlife crisis.
It's not the only thing they were
not even,
for.
but it was.
We're not going to get into that though.
It was designed V6. I'll explain the whole V6 muscle car thing. Let's put it this way. Everybody would want the car, but some people don't care about performance. They just like how the car looks. They don't want to go fast. They just want to hop in and have a nice looking car without the scary performance. In our opinion, we think that's stupid. And it is stupid. We're car guys. We're car people. We're about going fast. But, you know, you get old man Jenkins wants to take his wife Deb out to ice cream or bingo. Doesn't want to show up in a Lincoln Town car or a Ford Taurus. He wants to look flashy to his neighbor Jim, who's across the street in their cookie cutter development. because he got a Charger. Well, I need to look better and cooler than him, so I got a Mustang.
While we're on the topic of something like that, why would you market a car like that to older people?
Because they're dumb enough and have the money to buy it.
No.
Not only is it for I would say it's not only for older people that don't give a shit about performance. I would say it's for kids that are too broke to get a higher performance option.
Well,
get somebody into the name.
Exactly.
Introduce it, but as well as...
And if you're Dodge, you're giving it to everybody. Because everybody, no matter their credit score or how much they make, can afford a Dodge.
But that's only in recent years because of how bad they've been struggling as...
Yeah.
manufacturer.
It's almost like a big, massive conglomerate that likes to destroy companies, bought them, and is now scrapping them out for parts. Stellantis. But regardless, Ford should be marketing the highest level of Mustang, the fastest of the fast, to old people, because you're gonna die sooner, so wouldn't you want to get to your destination faster?
No, that's not true,
that's
because
not
you'll
the
still
point.
see a lot of old people, especially driving sweet, pristine Corvettes, and they're still driving like how old people drive.
Still driving
What
10
is
under
the
the speed
point?
limit, making me late for work.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like what is the point? Like, I get dream car, this and that, but it's like, if you're not gonna do some stuff with it, what the f is the point of even having it?
Back on Mustang subject, they brought back a couple of old nameplates
Bullet.
again. Bullet was actually brought back for S197, but
S197,
everybody forgot about it because S197 was so forgettable in the early years. But
Mike's got one.
oh yeah,
Yeah, he's got a Bullet.
Doesn't Tommy also have one?
no, Tommy
No,
has
Tommy has a
SN95
Oh. Wait,
Uh,
then who's?
Warren,
Oh.
but
That's not a Bullet though.
he's
No,
got
the S197. I was
Yeah.
curious which one of...
Tommy has an
yeah, Tommy's got the SN. Warren's got
Warren's got the S1,
S1. And I think he's also got Fox.
but it's a later year.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a later year S1.
But
Isn't Tom... Wait, hold on. Isn't Warren's Big Turbo?
Yeah,
Ooh.
he did a lot of shit to his.
Another future video.
It's
But-
We're going to bully a kid into showing us his Big Turbo Mustang.
it's broken.
I don't care. Your car's broken.
But back
Touche.
on the S550, there were a
Touche.
few old names brought back. Bullet was one of
I
them.
can't even argue with that.
Mach 1 was brought back. And the Shelby GT350, which brought out a very ahead of time flat... Shut up.
You're squawking like a damn seagull, bro. Shut the hell up.
But the GT350 came back with a flat plane crank, 5.2 liter V8.
Speaking of flat planes.
You be on your own for a minute or two.
Oh my god. They're taking the leash off and allowing me to sit here in front of a camera.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm still losing my mind over this car's broken. Why would we do that? So is yours. Because even if it isn't,
But I know he was trying to sell parts off of it.
yeah, still we could sit down and ask him what he did to build it. Because that car is cool as hell, and he arguably has more time in it than I do in my truck.
I don't know the dude enough to know if that's true or not. You would have to talk to him.
Even if he did the work himself, like he's definitely got more. He's got more time in that car than I do in my truck.
All right. So anyway, we're still talking about the S550.
Voodoo V8.
So the GT 350.
Ooh,
We covered that a little bit. High revving.
High revving, flat plane,
5.2.
flat plane crank having, high revving monster.
And you could get it in a manual.
Yep.
Where the other
Big
GT 500,
Was a dual clutch.
well, you could only
automatic.
get it in a dual clutch, if I'm not mistaken. You couldn't even get it in a manual.
Isn't that the Tremec transmission that is shared between? Isn't that shared between the big three? Isn't that same transmission from the
The T56.
No, the paddle shift dual clutch. Because I could have
I
sworn
thought that was
Dodge
an-
had it.
No,
and
that was
that's
a
an
Dodge
in-house.
8-speed.
Oh, Dodge.
And GM had their own 8-speed.
I was gonna say that 7-speed dual clutch is an in-house Ford
Yeah.
transmission. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, okay. So the GT500 had its
Yeah.
own.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, comments, whatever. But I'm pretty sure it was an in-house
Yeah.
built transmission for that.
Oh, okay. So everybody like kind of. All right. I
The T56 was shared across all the manufacturers.
And then
Yeah.
obviously
And
the
then
10-speed.
when it turned into the TR 5060
the
or
10-speed is
60,
what Ford and Chevy share.
Yeah,
just different software.
I could have sworn that
that was the
Dodge
ZF.
and Ford shared a transmission as
No.
well.
Dodge shared a lot of shit with Mercedes-Benz and Mitsubishi,
Two previously owned companies.
That makes sense.
two previous partnerships.
Yeah.
Biodegradable wares.
So we talked a little about the GT350, but then you got the GT500. Which
Such a
essentially is
good-looking
it
car.
essentially the Voodoo 5.2, which is the supercharger slapped onto it called the Predator? I mean, is it really
No,
any
it's
vast
bored over.
differences?
It's a 5.4. The
Five-
the
it's a 5.4.
GT500.
What-
It's a 5.2.
That
still.
was 2020 that came out, right?
I believe so. It's
No, I could
still a
have sworn it was a
5.2.
5.4.
Still a 5.2.
Yeah, it's a 5.2
Oh, it is?
Mm-hmm.
with the 7-speed dual clutch.
Oh.
5.2 with a supercharger.
But the thing is, like, we're supposed to be knowing all about Mustangs, but the question is, how much different is the Voodoo from the Predator? I mean, is it literally just taking a supercharger and slapping it on that bitch?
or is there proper internal adjustments?
I would
and
assume there's got to be some internal
stronger
adjustments. It's
internals
gotta
to
be.
handle the boost.
Because the GT350 made like what 560, 530, right? around
I've
there?
seen
Yeah.
I've seen personally I've seen YouTube videos of those cars dynoing stock, depending on where you are, at 530 to 570.
But another thing I'd like to bring
That's
up
what
too
they're advertised around too.
with the S550 that went through all three generations of the Coyote.
Yep.
It was just constant throughout the years, tweaking them, changing them. Gen 1, Gen 2 are very alike. There's like differences in the intake manifolds, valves, and material. But Gen 3 was the game changer. Ford went to direct injection.
Only for Gen 3?
Yep, Gen 3 was the beginning of direct injection on the Coyotes.
Really, only Gen 3 had direct.
Correct. Gen 2 was still port.
Oh, color me surprised. You guess you do learn something new.
I'm
today.
surprised too. I thought the second gen would have direct injection.
No.
I guess not.
And a lot of people were bashing Ford because they're like, oh, they're still on port injection. Get with the times. And then Gen 3 came out and they went direct injection.
So does the S650 then do port and direct, like everything else Ford's been doing lately, especially with the EcoBoosts?
I think that was more of an EcoBoost thing. The port was in-house designed to clean out.
But that's what I'm saying. Like if
byproduct.
if they're doing it for all their other products, in regard, obviously, like turbocharged motors are going to have more blow by, so it makes sense to add the port. But you're still going to get valve buildup with direct injection, no matter what motor it is. So if they didn't add port, I mean, that's just stupid. You're taking all your EcoBoost motors, learning from your mistakes as you go, but you're not applying it to everything else.
No comment. I don't know.
comment on that because I really don't know.
It would be dumb if they didn't do both. At least port just for simply cleaning the valves.
Yeah.
Can you stop rubbing on my leg like that?
Why don't you move? Stop spreading your legs. This ain't an open invitation.
Yeah, it is.
Nobody's trying to get in there.
Like I said, I'm trying to get Eiffel Towered over here.
I'm going to
What?
say the word again, and I'm just not going to want to edit it out.
You gotta remember, too, the production costs of doing that and the engineering.
His legs are open, so are yours.
Dude, you are spread. Like you are waiting for somebody to get in there.
I'm also almost a foot taller than you.
What does it have to do with spreading your legs, bro?
Not comfortable.
Like, I'm chilling with them. Like, what? You want me to sit like this? No, I'm gonna sit like this, like a normal person. You are waiting for someone to get in there, dude.
Yeah, you're right.
Exactly. Your soon-to-be wife just said it too.
He's sitting with his legs wide open again.
Oh my god.
Well, you can't really see it on camera, but it's making me uncomfortable.
I'm in danger.
What?
You're about to be.
Fucking his dick tonight?
No, that's your job. All right. Anyway, so we might as well just move on to the S650 then.
Yeah.
I mean, we're
They,
the first biggest change is obviously the two throttle bodies.
yep, 2 throttle bodies, and I honestly gotta say it's just a lot more technology. They updated the front ends. It's sharp cars.
I don't like the rear end change. I think the
Oh, what, where they
S550.
angled the
Yeah, I'm not a
gelatin?
fan. I'm not a fan of the rear end of it. The front end looks good. It looks original,
And then
but the rear end.
one thing that I give them a lot of respect for, you can go into settings and change the instrument cluster displays.
To a Fox.
You can do Fox Body, the SVT Cobras of the early 2000s, and just change them all up. There's a lot of
That
cool
is cool.
technology in it.
Another thing about the S650 though is a lot of people are bitching and complaining because I think it's the Dark Horse, which is just makes a little bit more power than what Aero package,
Yeah.
Cool paint.
and
Cool
they're
paint
they're
options.
dynoing really low numbers.
Emissions.
But I think compared to the GT of the S650, like they're almost like right around identical. Like there's really no big change, and you're spending all that money for performance and
Well, you're
aero
getting,
and everything else. But
you're getting an appearance package.
at that point, yeah, essentially you are just getting an appearance package.
Just
I mean-
like getting an anniversary Mustang of the early
Yeah.
2000s. It was just...
The wide body kits on the Hellcats. You're paying I think it was $11,000.
But the wide body kit alone on a Hellcat is not performance oriented. The Dark Horse is. It's advertised to have more power. When in real life, it's not really making any more power. And people are pissed. And arguably
Unless
so.
those engines
like
got detuned.
Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, just
I
wait.
really
I mean,
don't
they
know
haven't
much
they haven't
into
even
it, but-
they haven't even cracked the ECU yet, have they? I don't
Oh,
think they.
Ford, the past few years of Ford, the ECUs have been locked up like Fort Knox.
People haven't even cracked them yet. So I mean, maybe
And
with
that's
some tuning.
just thanks to the EPA legislations and whatnot that are, killing our community.
Yep.
Killing it. No, they're kicking a dead corpse into a pink mush at this point. Because
But-
they killed off diesels. They killed off modern race trucks. Like how many other cars have been killed off due to emissions? Like I mean, entire brands have gone defunct over emissions.
Well, everything really has been getting the hit, but still, with the S650s, they're more technology and whatnot. They got the Dark Horse. They keep teasing the GTD.
Oh, it's such a nice car, but I would never pay what they're asking for it.
And it's not even street legal.
Yes, it is.
The GTD is street legal?
Yes, we went over this before. I'm 99% sure it's street legal. If you want to look it up, feel free. I don't feel like digging into it.
And then there's talks of something new and exciting with the Shelby of this upcoming generation.
Oh, the
GT3.
Legend engine, right?
Well, the GT350 of this generation, the S650, is getting the old S550 GT500 5.2 Predator.
And
That's at least what I've seen.
Holy
So it's up in the air on if they're bringing the GT500 back and what they're going to be putting into it.
And rumor has it that the 7.3
7.3.
Godzilla that's been in the Super Duties
That would be
might get a supercharger
Sweet.
slapped on it. We're gonna have a modern day big block V8 Mustang.
I'm going to say this right now, and I want this to be taken very seriously. The moment that the Godzilla engine gets dropped into a Ford Mustang, I will buy one.
Yeah, a modern one.
I will buy it.
Because there are a few people that slapped Godzilla on a Fox body already.
I will buy a factory 7.3 liter big block Mustang. I'm going to make that clear.
I don't believe him for 1 second, but he can say it all he wants.
I guess we'll have to see.
You'll never do it. You're way too GM oriented. With that money, you'll end up buying a C8 or something.
Well, it depends on how much the car costs.
Well, you could get a used C8.
Yeah,
The
a
price
used
is express, man.
C8 for still $73,000.
Yeah, you think a GT500 of this generation is not going to be at least 70 to 80 grand? It's going to be at least 70 to 80 grand, probably more.
Well, we'll just have to
So
make
again,
Oh,
you'll end up buying a C8 if you had that money,
Yeah.
and if you were in the market.
if I'm in
let's
that
be
market,
honest.
I'm spending the money. I'm getting a C6Z or a ZR1.
That's yeah.
And this is coming from a guy who loves Mustangs, but I would not mind.
I love me a C601.
What would I do if I had
Performance
$1,000?
All right, but I think that's a good note to end this on. And this has been Shift Happens.
Yep.
Adios. Good luck, motorheads, getting it ready. Peace.